Hey, it's the big guy again. I have not done a longer form video in a long time because honestly, the shorts draw attention to my channel and I get way more views than I ever did with my long form videos. So I've been kind of doing that for a while. Um, Still covering the same topics that I would usually cover, just I don't talk about them as much. Um, And honestly, I don't have as much time as I used to anymore. I'm now working full time, um, living in a new state, um, just, keeping busy, keeping up my exercise schedule, keeping up with all my other little hobbies in life. But this video is by request, and I never had someone request a video for me before. And shout out to the requester of this. You know who you are. And this is for you. I never had anyone request a video of me before. And I was laid up from work with an infection. And I said, what the fuck? Might as well do one. So, as you can tell by the title, of course, you already know who this is about. But the reason it's part 2 is because I did one previously. And I did it right after I had some very, I guess as a sequence, they were cringe interactions with Mecha Random 42. But it was all one thing. It was all one night that it happened. And I posted that video, I don't know, I think the night after it happened. And I was pretty pissed at the time. And I guess I still am now, but hindsight is always 2020. So anyway, let's get into it. Yeah, Mecha Random 42 part 2 from the big guy. So I'm not, I tried to think before I made this video of kind of what my format would be. And I realized that I don't really have any option but to sort of iterate and maybe analyze or overanalyze, my last video more, which was about my last interaction with her, and maybe see what different conclusions I've come to with hindsight. And maybe a couple things from the comments that were said to me as well in that previous video. So anyway, okay, I guess I'll start from the beginning for those of you who haven't seen the first video. Mecha Random 42, she reviews pop culture, mostly games, TV shows, and movies. And I first got into her because, to be honest, thought she was pretty cool. She had a cool look. She had, to be honest, she had some unique cleavage. Good cleavage. And she had good takes on things. Despite my distaste for her now, I'd more than likely still agree with her on a great many things, for sure. Because she's a fan, like me, of things that are popular now, things that are in the zeitgeist, all the IPs that essentially Disney and Sony and all the big fucking companies bought up. We were into those in the mid 80s, late 80s, early and mid 90s, late 90s. There's a lot of you millennials and Zs out there that, and nothing against you, you're a generation I will be long dead before the effects of what you guys do ever, you know, affect daily life on this planet. So whatever, you got to figure it out just like the rest of us. But it's funny how a lot of you millennials and Zs, you got to understand that there was a time, and it wasn't too long ago, there was a time where Lord of the Rings didn't have films that were easily accessible. Marvel Comics didn't have any good films whatsoever. There were some TV movies here and there, and Hulk was okay because he was easy to reproduce with a guy the size of Lou Ferrigno. But like the attempts at Spider-Man, bad. The attempts at Captain America, bad. The attempts at Thor, few and far between and really, really bad. You know, you got to understand, I lived during a time where there was no really big commercial success with anything involving comic books until Tim Burton's Batman. And that was it. You know, maybe the Batman TV series, but what you younger people got to know is that was only on for 3 years. That's it. There's a lot of episodes for it being on 3 years, but that was it. 3 years. Poof, gone. Just like Star Trek, the original series, I think. It's 3 or 4 years. That was it. It was gone. It wasn't this huge, iconic thing at the time that everyone latched onto. Both of those things, as a matter of fact, weren't that popular at the time they came out. Only later did people realize, holy shit, this is some, like, and it took, you gotta understand, us nerds back in the day, we were the smart kids. Okay? Now, I personally wasn't the smartest of the smart, okay? Don't get me wrong. But I'm sharper than your average knife, goddammit. And it was the smart kids that were like, figured out, like, they're talking about like actual scientific shit that could actually happen. Or, you know, what if our genome did mutate to such a specific degree that you could, you know, change the weather, or, you know, shoot lasers out of your eyes, shit like that. It was interesting, and especially with Marvel Comics, because not that there was exact science behind it, but they did their best to kind of explain everything in a scientific way. And that's, some of the greatest writers are kind of, they're like jacks of all trades. They know a little bit about almost everything, but just enough to sound like you know what you're talking about sometimes. Not always. But when a writer's working on a project, they can do specific research to enhance their knowledge of a subject, which is why many writers are pretty smart dudes, because they've, over the course of their careers, they either by choice or by demands of the job, had to research many different topics. So those writers were fucking great back then. But anyway, my point is, there was a time where you got your ass kicked for liking Lord of the Rings, where your classmates would tell you that comic books were just for babies, and you'd get your ass kicked for liking comic books. If you liked, you know, I don't know, anything that's, if you played, there was a time when Magic the Gathering first came out, and all the nerd kids like me were playing it. And the bullies and the popular kids and shit, they'd come by and they'd fuck your whole table up, move all your markers for your fucking mana and everything. They'd fuck it all up. They move it around, you know, like at the lunch table at school. They mess it up on purpose, or they blow on it and blow the shit everywhere. Little fuckers. See, I was the 6'7", you know, 400-pound nerd. So don't worry, nerds out there. I kicked a lot of those motherfuckers' asses right back. But I'm only so big, I'm only so strong, I'm only so tough, and sometimes when there's 4 of them, they get the best of you. It sucks, but that's how it goes. So anyway, me and Mecha both discovered sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, shit like that. She's not so big into the comic book side of it. And she likes more like British stuff. Beyond Doctor Who, I don't call Doctor Who British at this point because it reaches out universally to everyone. It just happens to be made by Brits. Fine by me, no problem. She delved deeper and way into the British shit. I didn't. I went into the American sci-fi and stuff. So we lived through that time. So her opinions were appealing to me because it was from a similar background where we loved these IPs because those were our escapes from the bullies and the teasing and the daily taunts and kids grabbing your comic book out of your hand and tearing it up and throwing it on the sidewalk and fucking up your card game, all that shit. And if you liked hobbits and wizards, then you were a nerd and you needed to get your ass kicked and your books thrown down the stairway and shit like that. So we loved them, and that's where we went to escape from all that shit. And we learned about it, and we dived into these realms with our hearts and minds fully open. Loved these IPs, loved these fandoms and lores and all these great things that, see, nowadays giant segments of the population know about this shit, and they claim, oh yeah, I've always been into that. Oh yeah, I always loved Lord of the Rings. No, you didn't. You didn't know shit about it till you watched the movies. Oh yeah, I always loved the Marvel Comics characters. No, you didn't. You didn't know shit about them until the movies came out. Oh, I always loved Dungeons and Dragons. No, you didn't. You didn't like it until you saw it on Stranger Things. Then it became cool to say that you were into all that shit. And, whatever epic of any of those entering the greater zeitgeist were, everyone just jumped on the fucking bandwagon. Oh yeah, I've always liked Iron Man. No, you didn't. You liked Robert Downey Jr. You liked his portrayal of him, which isn't really comic accurate. And, that was your introduction into Marvel. And don't get me wrong, Iron Man was a great movie. What immediately followed it were good movies, too. Captain America, etc. She was pissed. Mecha ran, and she probably still is pissed, and so am I, that a younger generation who just freshly indoctrinated from whatever college they went to, far leftists, woke idiots, taking over all these things that we loved and fucking them up, just completely fucking them up to the point where it's nothing close to what the original artist created. Okay, and if you respect art, if you take someone's original art and you change it, it's no longer that. You can't claim it. So for you wokies, what you twist everything into, just like Melkor himself, you don't create anything. You take good things and you twist them into something else, and you deform them to such a degree that they're no longer what they were. But you claim that they are. And if you think anyone with sense believes you, you're gone. You're deluded. You're actually deluded, and you want others to participate in your delusions. Anyway, I divert a lot in my long forms, so get used to it. Anyway, that's what I liked about Mecha Random. That's why I got into her channel. And she ranted and raved, just like I do, about all the ways that the woketards are destroying everything. And And she was right about it. 100% right. Her takes were hot takes, fiery takes, and they were good takes. They were truthful, accurate, and logical. And she held their feet to the fire for everything. What hypocrites they are and how full of shit they are, generally. The problem, well, the problem with Mecha Random that started, pardon me, the problem with Mecha Random that started my whole journey of not following her anymore, which wasn't really much of a journey. Bad choice of words, I guess. Was that the stuff she doesn't like, she seems to, I guess she's sick of people trying to get her to like it, or they expect her to like it, and she doesn't. Which is fine. You like what you like. No problem. But when she tries to articulate why, especially Dune, D-U-N-E, Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, when you mention that, oh, she really hates it. But she can't really express anything specific. Certainly nothing logical. It's all an emotional argument. You know, the worm looks like a butthole, and why is everyone's eyes blue? Well, read the fucking book and you'd know why. You know, and it's stupid, and it's just a desert, and why can't they run? And it's like just dumb shit. She just uses all the logical fallacies in the book to sort of bolster why she doesn't like it, but she never explains why. She just hates it, which is fine. Again, you can hate whatever the hell you want to hate. No problem there. But I think here's the thing. She's used to being right about shit because she's thought logically about it, and she's, you know, looked up the articles, and she's looked up, you know, the other things that these writers or whatever idiot on Twitter said. And, you know, she does her research, and she's right about it because she came to the logical, right conclusion. At least by preponderance of evidence, maybe not necessarily by empirical proof. But, can't believe I'm managing to stay on track here. What happens is she thinks she's right, and I don't know. It's like she doesn't have to justify it after that. It's just, I'm right, that's it, and, you know, discussion over. Well, no, not discussion over. So, but I never pushed her. I never pushed her on anything with that at all. Never pushed her. Not even with Dune. You got your opinion, you got your opinion. No big deal. You know, I'm not going to nitpick you. I might ask, like, did you ever think about this or think about that? Or have you ever read the books? Have you not read the books? Stuff like that, which she happily answered. Except when she's asked to justify her position, or at least offers, maybe not justify, but at least offer some rationale for it. She doesn't do good at that. She doesn't do very good at that at all. And I made the mistake one night of saying that I got to make sure I remember how I worded this, because it's very important, because she gaslights me and she creates straw men later. I said, I think it takes a certain type of intellect to appreciate Dune. Because it involves a myriad of things that you really need to know a little bit about in order to understand Dune, especially a lot of the vocabulary that's used, and a lot of the historical references. And if you don't kind of already know a little bit about these certain subjects, especially politics and history, which Mecha Random does not like looking into at all. She just doesn't enjoy it. She thinks it's boring. She's said it many times. She doesn't get into politics. She calls it politics ball, which I don't even understand what the fuck that means, but whatever. Call things whatever you want to. It's just call things. You can call them a blip blop. Like, I really don't give a fuck. But which is also foolish, because as you become older, if you don't realize how politics affects so many things in your everyday life, you're kind of foolish. But that's just my opinion. So with Dune, you need to know something about politics and kind of like warfare a little bit, and a little bit of history, and a little bit of languages. Knowing different languages helps. Lots of different stuff. But I wasn't even talking about that. I just said I guess I'm more describing, the type of intellect I met, where it's not that other intellects aren't smart. They're just usually maybe way more specialized, where they know, like, really, really just a lot about this one thing, but they're like, the fucking expert, or one of 20 experts, or whatever. The intellect required to enjoy Dune, to get into it, I think, is a little more. You got to have your energy, I guess, spread out a little more. You kind of got to be like more of a jack of all trades, as opposed to a specialist. You got to know a little bit about everything, and just enough. Well, like I said before, maybe just enough to make some things up sometimes, but you know a little bit about enough. You can have a conversation about it. You could have a conversation at the pub about it or something. You wouldn't be sitting there awkwardly having nothing to say. You'd know something about the subject. That's Dune, because it involves so many different interweaving ins and outs. Diplomacy, warfare, politics, social phenomenon, religion, history, all kinds of shit. Mecha Random got the impression that I was inferring, I guess, that you need a certain intelligence level to get into Dune. And boy, did she go off. Did she go off. She just ran with the idea that what I typed was not a succinct impression of the thoughts I was trying to portray, even though they were the exact impression of the thoughts I was trying to portray. But she insisted, nope, big guy, what you really meant was that I'm too stupid to understand Dune. And that's why I'm not into it. And boy, did she run with that straw man. I'm telling you, I had to remind her 4, 5, 6 times that I never said such a thing, that you're assuming that's what I meant by it, even though I clearly conveyed what I meant to convey when I said it takes a certain type of intellect. There's all different kinds of intellects. Many are all just the same right across the board as far as intelligence goes. I didn't say it took a certain level of intelligence. But she was bound and determined to think that's what I meant. And boy, did she insist that that's what I meant. Never said such a thing. Never meant such a thing. And she continued to berate me, talk down to me as if I was trying to act high and mighty, and that I was smarter or better than someone else. Never did such a thing. there were several people that were also in the chat that said the same thing, like, you know, leave the guy alone. He like, I believe him. He didn't, you know, he wasn't, I don't think what he was trying to say was ill-tempered or bad-intentioned or malicious or vicious in any way. She didn't give a shit, so she ran with it. And then I guess her little boyfriend jumped in, and he was being all smarmy and jerky, and I'm like, dude, I got no problem with you. Like, you know, I was trying to ask him, do you understand what I was trying to say? Completely ignored that question. Didn't attempt to ignore that question. Just played his little smarmy little smartass game because he didn't, you know, he wanted his blowjob next time he saw her, you know, which I get it. I mean, I don't simp for women like that, but if he wants to be a simp, that's okay. That's cool. You know, my house is paid for, motherfucker. So, like, I don't give a shit. And I got a job, so I, you know, whatever that isn't on the internet, you know, being a lazy fuck. And no, my channel isn't monetized, so I'm not on the internet being a lazy fuck making money with this. It ain't happening. I make money in the real world. And I'm on my feet all day and I work hard for it. Anyway, you know, they proceeded to gang up on me, and I essentially, Rob Shlomo, that's his name. I was trying to think of it. I forgot his name. He's such a pissant that, and you know, I kept it nice and I kept it respectful, and I just like, well, okay, you know, if that's the way you guys are going to be, then later, Godspeed, good luck to you. And that was kind of it. And the way she blew up, it was like I said, you know, like in the title of the video, she had serious emotional problems. Like somebody earlier in life told her she wasn't good enough or smart enough at something, and daddy maybe, yeah, I don't know. And boy, did she take that to heart. She must have taken that to heart, and that's really sad, actually. And I got really nothing new to say about her because I haven't watched her streams. I haven't followed her on YouTube at all for 2 years now. So I really don't know what's up with her. I'm assuming, you know, she's probably doing the same thing that she's done, and that's fine. I wish her the best of luck. Like I said, I probably still agree with her on most things. But yeah, it seemed like she had real serious emotional, like childhood emotional type problems, which I have myself, so I get it. I lash out in other ways. But I'm not a complete dick to people. I wait for them to be a dick first, and then I really, really let it go. Anyway, yeah, and she was mean, and she was vicious, would not listen to any reason whatsoever, and just, you know, with the logical fallacies, just ad hominems, straw men, red herrings. You know, I try and keep her on the subject. She'd change it again to keep her narrative going. Just all that kind of stuff. It was for someone who I saw so much in, it was very disappointing. And it was very sad because I was about to, and you got to understand, if you knew me, you'd know what a penny pincher I am. I was about to make my very first super chat to a creator ever, to her, for, you know, more than the average super chat. It's going to be quite a hefty amount because I really enjoyed her content, regardless of the size of her channel. I enjoyed her content. And, well, that went right out the window, of course. I was about to do that. And, you know, and I'm glad I didn't, of course. That's good. That's why I wait long times to make decisions like that. And it was quite disappointing. It was just very, very disappointing. That she seemed to remember other people that were in her chat quite a bit, so I'm guessing she might have remembered me, or at least knew that I wasn't like some troll that came out of nowhere and was saying mean things or something. I don't know. But yeah, the whole experience was just it was very disappointing, and I was in my first video. If you watch it, you can see how pissed off I was. I was pretty fucking pissed off. Because it hurt. I mean, I wasn't like crying in my pillow at night or anything, but it hurt that someone that you respected and enjoyed could so easily like target you specifically and come after you and completely misrepresent the things you said with such ease and vitriol. It's quite amazing. It was very sad and disappointing. Yeah, I occasionally think of her and hope that she's doing okay, but there's not too much you can do about that. People are going to be who they are, and if they're going to change, it's going to come from them. It's not going to come from any outside factor. Something that was suggested to me in comments in the first video was that perhaps her pot smoking has something to do with it. Well, I've been smoking pot for a number of years, and have been around, I don't know, in all my years, thousands of people who smoke pot as well. Hold on, I'm going to get my water real quick. Told you I'd be quick. Thousands of people who smoke pot. And I've seen, okay, let me say, I have not seen such wild emotional swings just from pot. I've seen behavior like that from other drugs, but not just from pot. It can make you, I mean, at worst, I've seen people, get way too anxious and their heart rate goes up and shit. Maybe their throat closes sometimes. Because, which can also come from dehydration or coughing too much. An inflamed airway. But I've never seen pot make you wildly and viciously lash out at people to the degree that she did. That doesn't mean that doesn't happen. But in my experience, I've just never seen it. And I've been around a lot of pot smokers. So maybe that does happen sometimes. Maybe there are these, like, 1 out of 100 million type of people where they just like have these freakouts every once in a while when they're stoned. I don't know. Weed makes me incredibly calm and focused and chilled, really. Even sativas do, in a way, not just indicas. Indicas are my favorite, though. But yeah, another thing suggested in the comments was that she had some other type of outside drama or something. Well, if she did, I would suggest not bringing it onto your YouTube channel. And I've made that mistake as well, and I've erased those videos. But it's whatever. But she has a lot more followers than I do, and a much bigger audience. And, she puts more time into production and graphics and, exit cards and links and all this shit. I don't do all that crap. She does it trying to make money. I don't. So, it'd be good to try and be more professional, at least, I guess. So I think that's about it for this. I guess any insight maybe about me looking back at this, I don't know. I guess I just the lesson that, don't idolize, don't meet your heroes, don't idolize your heroes, don't interact with your heroes. The old one is, don't ever meet your heroes, because you'll find out that they're not the people that they think you are. I guess it just reinforced that idea that, the people you see on the computer, the people you see on the TV screen, the people you see on the movie screen, are not always not always the people they portray themselves to be. That sometimes, they're having a bad day. It could be just that she had a bad day. But you know what? Even when I'm having a bad day and I snap on someone, it doesn't take me long before I'm coming back and apologizing and saying, that was the wrong thing for me to do, and I have this really stressful thing going on in my life right now, and I took it out on you, and you didn't deserve that. Please accept my apology. It wasn't, because this was like 25 minutes of me essentially towards the end kind of pleading, like, please don't be this way. Don't leave it like this, because if you're really sticking to being this much of, essentially a fucking cunt, if you're really sticking to being this big of a cunt, it's so disappointing. It's just, oh my God, how is this fucking person for real? Because I had a similar thing with Eric July that I'm going to do a long form video about as well. But yeah, I guess with me, it was just a lesson learned. Also, in trusting too much, putting too much faith in someone that well, let's say there's a place where faith should go, and it shouldn't be to, some broad on the internet. Not that I put that amount of faith into her, but it just, just be careful with the people that I look up to and that I maybe put on a pedestal in my head, and then all of a sudden it comes out, oh, well, they did this or that, and they weren't so good of a person. Well, yeah, in one way, we all got our secrets, but some secrets are worse than others. So I'll just leave that there. So yeah, I guess, and maybe, I don't think there are a ton more lessons that I personally could get out of it, because I was the good guy. I didn't attack. I wasn't malicious. I was misunderstood. I was attacked back. I very, very succinctly and politely and calmly and patiently explained myself. But I'll tell you what, when you're dealing with a person who is going to insist on being hard-headed, and they're going to be intentionally obtuse about things just to be contrary with you, then fuck them. The hell with them. I should have wasted, I guess, less time trying to convince her, and just said, you know what? Fuck you, broad. I'm out of here. But I didn't do that. I tried. I was the nice guy. I was the good guy. I tried to salvage it. I tried to get it to a point where she could understand that I understood why she doesn't like Dune. um, and that she could understand what I meant when I said what I said. I think it takes a certain type of intellect to enjoy Dune. And I still believe that. So it's very sad that such a innocuous comment led to that. And, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I wasn't crying on my pillow. I didn't lose any sleep about it. You know, um, no, I didn't have a thing for her. She's not that attractive. Um, but it was just sad and disappointing, I guess, for like the fourth time. Um, so that's it. That's kind of my hindsight about that incident, by request, of course, and little reflection, I guess, on what I learned and maybe what I could have done better or worse. Anyway, if you've watched this far and through me meandering and really trying to actually just make this video on the fly, please like and subscribe. I don't give a shit if you share it. And I'll see you again. Make America great again.